Welcome to Primary Dates. Today we have a special episode with an unexpected guest. Welcome, Mr. Voldemort. Please tell our audience what brings you here to the US and to our program.
Hello. Thank you for having me in your show. I'm here looking, of course, for the love of my life. It's been quite lonely, being the Dark Lord and all. Doesn't make me very popular with the ladies. People don't tend to fancy a man who's bald and got no nose. And the ones that do are honestly a walking red flag. Like, come on, Bellatrix, really?
Oh, I can imagine. We already have someone interested in meeting you.
Hi.
Well then, let's go straight ahead to our new section for the day. Dating tips with Voldemort. Today, we're diving into a topic that's not just important for your love life, but also for your family tree: genetic diversity.
Genetic what now?
Genetic diversity. Why don't we take a look at the scientific journal, Characterization and Conservation of Genetic Diversity in Subsidized Populations? The authors explain that genetic diversity has been defined as the variety of alleles and genotypes present in a population, and this is reflected in morphological, physiological, and behavioral differences between individuals and populations. Do you get it now? Okay. Genetic diversity gives us and animals differences in their appearances. In the article, What is Genetic Diversity and Why Does It Matter?, the organization Frontiers for Young Minds explains how genetic diversity can cause differences in the shape of bird beaks, in the flavor of tomatoes, and in our hair color. In your family's case, there have been differences seen in height, intelligence, emotional and mental stability, and sight.
I see.
So, let's talk more about your family. Voldemort, you hail from the House of Gaunt, a family notorious for their, shall we say, less than diverse lineage?
The Gaunt's family, we are a proud family. The blood of Salazar slithering flows in my veins.
Yes, but have you ever wondered why it declined over time? They were all about inbreeding, staying within the family. It may sound romantic, but it really hurt your bloodline.
Like how?
Great question. Why don't we first look at something called inbreeding depression? According to the University of Berkeley, inbreeding depression is a phenomenon that may lower the population's ability to survive and reproduce. In fact, over time, natural selection weeds deleterious alleles out of a population. When the dominant deleterious alleles are expressed, they lower the carrier's fitness, and fewer copies wind up in the next generation.
So that's why we continue to see less and less offspring in the Gaunt lineage. When their relatives mate, their offspring may inherit two copies of the same recessive deleterious allele and suffer the consequences of expressing the deleterious allele.
Exactly. Now, when you keep breeding within a small group, like the Gaunts did, you end up with a lot of genetic problems. Recessive mutations that anyone could carry in their genes began to reveal themselves, causing more and more health and mental problems. As the bloodline expanded and family members continued to intermarry, these mutations only got worse. We can see an example of this with our friend Lacey from Secret. Take it away, Lacey.
Let's talk about incest or inbreeding from a scientific standpoint. A recent report in the open access journal PeerJ found that inbreeding in woolly mammoths from the North Sea may be why they went extinct. The researchers' main clue was cervical ribs on the neck of the fossils. These ribs are known to develop when genetic or environmental disturbances take place while the embryo is developing. There are also other birth defects that are associated with this mutation, and the scientists believe those abnormalities could have played a role in the mammoth's ability to survive.
Thanks, Lacey.
Oh, just like how the Gaunts produce weak offspring, like Marvola's son, who had no ambition beyond his family's legacy.
Exactly. Inbreeding can result in traits that are detrimental to survival, much like how Voldemort's ancestors faced decline. Just like the example shown in this diagram, they became more isolated, eventually leading to their downfall. In fact, isolation is one of the ways that can cause a loss of genetic diversity. Frontiers for Young Minds states that genetic diversity can be lost when habitat loss divides populations or when buildings or highways isolate populations. In your case, your family isolated themselves from other wizarding families in order to keep their blood pure, thereby creating a loss of diversity and causing birth defects and lower mortality rates.
I have transcended such weaknesses.
Yet your own struggles stem from this very inbreeding. Look at the Gaunts. Every generation becomes more diminished. Higher death rates and less effective reproduction are some of the most evident consequences of inbreeding that has been observed.
Outrageous! Why does it even matter?
You see, genetic diversity is crucial for a healthy population. It helps reduce the chances of inheriting harmful traits. When the gene pool is limited, like in the House of Gaunt, it leads to increased risks of genetic disorder. Now, let's look at the effects of inbreeding more closely. It often leads to higher rates of genetic disorders, reduced fertility, and a weakened immune system. It's a recipe for disaster. Why don't we have our audience determine the traits seen in your lineage that are a cause of inbreeding? If we look at ominous Gaunt on the left, what do you notice about him that might be a result of inbreeding? What do you see in Morphin Gaunt on the right that could suggest the same?
It can't be.
So, from what we can see, Ominous was blind, and Morphin's eyes looked in different directions.
I see. So it's like how pure blood families in the wizarding world often face their own dilemmas, leading to obsession over blood status.
Exactly. And that obsession can isolate them, just as it did the Gaunts. By avoiding mixing bloodlines, they lost out on the strength and the resilience that comes from diversity.
Oh no! How else were they impacted due to the inbreeding?
That's a great question. Well, much of the family suffered in many ways. Why don't you take a guess? How did the members of the House of Gaunt suffer as a result of inbreeding? Those that said all of the above are correct. In fact, why don't we play a short game? I want the audience to tell me whether this fun fact is true or false. The House of Gaunt inbred due to their desire to pass down the ability to speak Parseltongue, the language of snakes. This is in fact true.
Wow. Blood purity and person tongue kept them from being genetically diverse. The inbreeding really only negatively impacted your family.
So be it. I see power above all. Blood purity is strength.
But true strength comes from a robust gene pool. Just like in nature, where diverse species thrive, wizards and witches benefit from a healthy, diverse union.
So, you're telling me it's bad to keep it in the family?
Exactly. Inbreeding leads to a lack of genetic diversity. We know this. This can cause all sorts of issues. Your lineage suffered weaknesses, diseases, and well, fewer magical talents.
So, if you date outside your family,
You get fresh genes. More diversity means stronger traits and better health overall.
So, finding a partner who isn't my relative is key.
Bingo. You want a date who brings something new to the table, like our lovely friend over here.
our families are from different counties.
And that's a big plus. Introducing a family from a different habitat increases the chance that their genes will contribute beneficially to yours. By choosing someone unrelated, you're not only improving your future offspring, but also breaking that cycle of decline that your family faced.
I see. Less family, more priority.
There you go. And think of all the new qualities you can inherit: adventure, courage, maybe even some empathy. Just saying.
As far as I know, I'm pretty healthy. But just out of curiosity, let's say I'm not completely sure I'm not related to you. What is the level of genetic relatedness that will be allowed here in the US?
That's a great question. It would be lovely if someone in our audience decided to take a guess. Those who answer second cousins would be correct.
I see. Well, I think we may be way farther than that. Actually, we don't really look alike. So, what are your hobbies?
So remember, folks, expand your horizons in love and life. Embrace genetic diversity for your magical future.